Look, I need to tell you something right now, and I need you to understand that I am not exaggerating. Not even a little bit. What happened in Sector 7 of the Galactic Academy last Tuesday has fundamentally changed how every single species in this institution views humans. And not in a good way. Well, maybe in a good way if you are a human, but for the rest of us, absolute nightmare fuel. My name is Krell, and I am a Voxian, which means I have 4 eyes, purple skin, and a very sensible approach to conflict resolution. That approach is called running away. Fast. But I am getting ahead of myself here. So there I was, minding my own business in the common area. I was trying to finish my assignment on practical xenobiology, which is ironic considering what I was about to witness. The common area is this massive space where students from about 40 different species hang out between classes. You have got Threnix floating near the ceiling, Morphids slithering around the furniture, and Canthari making that weird clicking noise they think is music. It is not music. Trust me. Then he walked in. Marcus Webb, the human. Now let me paint you a picture here. And I mean really paint it, because you need to understand the visual. Marcus is not particularly tall by human standards. Maybe 6 feet, 6 feet 1. I do not know, I am terrible with their measurements. But here's the thing. He does not need to be tall. He has this way of moving, this casual confidence that makes every predator instinct in your brain start screaming. And I am not even a prey species. He was wearing one of those human garments. A jacket, I think they call it. Dark blue. And he had this bag slung over one shoulder like it weighed nothing. Spoiler alert, I tried to lift a human school bag once. It was 40 pounds. 40 pounds. They carry that around like it is full of feathers. Marcus walked to the beverage station, completely unaware that every eye in the room, and I mean every eye, all 263 of them, were tracking his movement. He grabbed one of those horrifying human drinks. Coffee, 3 shots, black, no sugar. I watched him down it in 4 gulps, and honestly, that should have been everyone's first warning sign. That is when Zorgath decided to make the worst decision of his entire life. Zorgath is, was, a Brenthorian. Big species, really big. Think 8 feet tall, 4 arms, bone plating across the chest and shoulders. They come from a high-gravity world, which makes them naturally strong by galactic standards. Keyword, galactic standards, not Deathworld standards, and certainly not Earth standards. Zorgath had been making problems since Marcus arrived 3 weeks ago. Little things at first, knocking his data pad off tables, making loud comments about how humans were just hairless apes who got lucky with tool use, blocking doorways, that sort of juvenile nonsense. Most of us just ignored it. Zorgath was an idiot, but he was usually a harmless idiot. Except on Tuesday. On Tuesday, Zorgath decided to escalate. Marcus was walking back from the beverage station, still holding his empty cup, when Zorgath stepped directly into his path. All 4 arms crossed, bone plates puffed out. The classic intimidation display. "Hey, monkey," Zorgath said, and I swear the temperature in the room dropped 5 degrees. "You spilled my drink yesterday. You owe me an apology." Now, here is where it gets interesting, because Marcus did not spill anything yesterday. I was there. I saw the whole thing. Zorgath had knocked over his own drink, then blamed Marcus because he thought he could. Because in Zorgath's tiny brain, humans were weak little things that would just apologize and scurry away. Marcus looked up at him. Just looked. did not say anything for about 5 seconds. 5 very long seconds. And then he smiled. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. I had seen that smile before. That was not a friendly smile. That was the smile of a creature that had crawled its way to the top of a food chain so brutal that even the microbes on Earth could kill most galactic species. I did not spill your drink, Marcus said quietly. Very quietly. Too quietly. And I am not going to apologize for something I did not do. Zorgath's bone plates flared wider. I think you are, he said, and reached out with one of his massive hands to grab Marcus's shoulder. This is the part where I need you to understand something about human anatomy. See, most species in the galaxy evolved to be either very strong or very fast or very smart. Humans? They got all three. But what really makes them terrifying is their bone density and muscle attachment points. See, Earth has this gravity of 9.8 meters per second squared. Sounds reasonable, right? Wrong, that is high. Really high. Most garden worlds sit at around 6 or 7. Earth is heavy. Really heavy. What that means is that human bones are incredibly dense. Their muscles are attached in ways that maximize leverage, and their entire skeletal structure is basically armor plating, wrapped in more armor plating. Compared to them, most of us are made of tissue paper and wishful thinking. So when Zorgath's hand landed on Marcus's shoulder and squeezed, here is what happened next. Nothing. Marcus did not flinch, did not move, did not even blink. He just stood there, looking up at Zorgath with those terrifying forward-facing predator eyes that humans have, and kept smiling that awful smile. You should move your hand, Marcus said, and his voice was still quiet. But now it had this edge to it, this quality that made my survival instincts start doing backflips. Zorgath squeezed harder. Make me, monkey. I want you to understand that what happened next took maybe 2 seconds. 2 seconds total. But I have replayed it in my mind about 6,000 times, and I can break it down frame by frame. Marcus moved. His right hand came up, grabbed Zorgath's wrist, and twisted. Not yanked, not pulled. Twisted. There was this sound, like wet branches breaking, and Zorgath's wrist just folded. Compound fracture. 3 places. I could see the bone. Zorgath screamed, high and loud, and tried to pull back, but Marcus was not done. Oh no. Marcus was just getting started. With his other hand, Marcus grabbed Zorgath's elbow, stepped in close, and used Zorgath's own momentum to flip him, a Brenthorian, 8 feet tall, 400 pounds of bone and muscle. Marcus flipped him like he was a training dummy. Zorgath went up, over and down onto the floor so hard that the entire room shook. I am not being dramatic. The floor actually shook. Several people fell over. Zorgath tried to get up, which was his second mistake. His first mistake was touching Marcus in the first place. His second mistake was not staying down. Marcus put one foot on Zorgath's chest, leaned down, and said, very clearly, very precisely, I told you to move your hand. Then Zorgath did possibly the stupidest thing anyone has ever done in the history of the Galactic Academy. He swung at Marcus with one of his uninjured arms, a full power swing, the kind of punch that could dent a shuttle door. Marcus caught it, just reached out and caught Zorgath's fist mid-swing like he was catching a ball, and then he squeezed. The sound was worse this time, crunching, popping, grinding. Zorgath was screaming again, thrashing, trying to break free, but Marcus just stood there, perfectly calm, perfectly still, holding this massive alien down with one foot and crushing his hand with one grip. Stop, Marcus said, not yelling, not even raising his voice, just that same quiet tone. just stop. But Zorgath did not stop. He tried to roll away, tried to kick, tried to use his other arms, and that is when Marcus apparently decided that enough was enough. What happened next is a bit of a blur, even for me, and I have 4 eyes. Marcus moved in this fluid, precise way that did not look fast, but somehow covered distance instantly. His hands were everywhere. Nerve strikes, joint locks, pressure points. Every move was calculated, efficient, and absolutely devastating. He was not fighting angry. He was not fighting scared. He was fighting like a professional, like someone who had been trained since childhood to turn other living things into broken pieces. By the time the security team arrived, about 30 seconds later, Zorgath was unconscious. 3 of his 4 arms were broken. His jaw was dislocated. 4 ribs were cracked, and his left knee was bent in a direction that knees should definitely not bend. Marcus was sitting calmly on a nearby bench, drinking another cup of coffee that someone had nervously handed him. The security team, 2 Manthari guards in full armor, took one look at Zorgath, one look at Marcus, and then very carefully, very politely, asked Marcus if he would mind coming with them to answer some questions. They did not touch him. They did not get close. They just asked. Nicely. Marcus shrugged, said sure, grabbed his bag and walked out with them. Casual, like nothing had happened, like he had not just hospitalized someone in under a minute. The medical team arrived next, 6 of them. They loaded Zorgath onto a hover stretcher and rushed him to the medical wing. I heard later that he needed surgery. Multiple surgeries, reconstructive work on both hands, full skeletal realignment. They had to print new bone material. The whole thing took 14 hours. And Marcus? Marcus got a written warning for improper conflict resolution and mandatory attendance at 3 cultural sensitivity seminars. That was it. A written warning. Because the security footage showed, very clearly, that Zorgath attacked first, that Marcus had tried to disengage, that everything Marcus did was, technically, self-defense. Excessive self-defense, maybe, but still self-defense. The thing is, nobody expected a human to be able to do that. Sure, we knew they came from a high-gravity world. We knew they were durable. But this was something else. This was a predator. A really, really efficient predator. The kind that does not hunt for sport or glory. The kind that hunts because it is very, very good at it. After the medical team left, I just sat there in the common area, staring at the spot where it happened. There were stress cracks in the floor from where Zorgath hit the ground. Actual cracks in reinforced polymer composite flooring rated for industrial equipment. Someone sat down next to me, a Threnid named Voss. He looked as shaken as I felt. "Did you see that?" he whispered. "All 4 eyes," I said. "What are they?" Voss asked. "What kind of species can do that?" And that, my friend, was the question that everyone was asking, because we thought we knew. We thought humans were just another species. Smart? Sure. Durable, definitely. But this changed everything. I went back to my quarters that night and did something I should have done 3 weeks ago when Marcus first arrived. I looked up Earth. Really looked it up. Not just the basic facts, the deep files, the restricted data, the stuff that the Galactic Council does not really advertise. What I found made me seriously consider transferring to another academy, preferably one in another galaxy. Far away. Really far away. But that is a story for another time. Because right now, sitting here writing this all down, I can hear footsteps in the hallway outside. Human footsteps. I know they are human because they are heavier than they should be, denser, more present. The door to the common area opens. Marcus walks in, sees me, and waves. I wave back very carefully, making absolutely sure my hands stay where he can see them at all times. He smiles. That same smile. And I realize something truly terrifying. He was holding back during that fight with Zorgath. He was being gentle. We are so screwed. So here is what nobody tells you about living with a human on campus. The fear never goes away. It just changes shape. It becomes this constant background hum in your brain, like a machine you cannot turn off. Every time Marcus walks into a room, conversations stop. Not because anyone decides to stop talking. They just stop. Instinct takes over. The prey animal part of your brain that kept your ancestors alive by shutting up when something dangerous was nearby. 3 days after the incident, I was in advanced quantum mechanics when Professor Krell decided to make an announcement. Professor Krell is a Calaxian, which means he has 6 tentacles, a big brain case, and absolutely zero sense of self-preservation. "Class," he said, waving 3 tentacles for attention. "We have been asked by the administration to address the recent altercation involving our human student." Oh no. Oh no. I looked around the lecture hall. Marcus was sitting in the back row, doing absolutely nothing threatening, just taking notes on his datapad. But everyone else had gone completely still. 45 students holding their breath at the same time. "The Galactic Council has reviewed the incident," Krell continued, apparently oblivious to the tension. "And they have determined that appropriate measures were taken. However, they have also recommended that all students complete a mandatory workshop on Deathworld species interaction protocols." A morphid named Sella raised one of her appendages. Her voice was shaking. "Professor, what exactly qualifies as a Deathworld?" Krell's eye stalks swiveled. "Excellent question. A Deathworld is classified as any planet where the baseline environmental conditions would be lethal to 70% or more of known galactic species within 24 hours of exposure." "And Earth qualifies?" another student asked. "Earth exceeds the qualifications," Krell said cheerfully. Way too cheerfully. Earth is categorized as a Class 12 Deathworld, one of only 8 planets in known space to achieve that rating. Someone dropped their datapad. The clattering sound echoed through the silent hall. "Could you elaborate on that, Professor?" I heard myself asking. My voice sounded strange, distant. Krell seemed delighted by the question. "Of course. Earth has a highly aggressive biosphere characterized by extreme competition for resources. The atmospheric oxygen content is 21%, which is nearly toxic levels for most species. The gravity is 0.98 standard. The solar radiation includes harmful wavelengths that require organic shielding adaptations. And the planet experiences regular catastrophic weather events, including cyclonic storms, seismic activity, and temperature fluctuations that would trigger mass extinctions on garden worlds." He paused, which somehow made it worse. "Additionally," he continued, "Earth supports approximately 8.7 million distinct species, many of which have evolved offensive and defensive capabilities that exceed military-grade threat parameters. The planet has survived 5 mass extinction events, and current biodiversity suggests that competition pressure creates evolutionary adaptations at an accelerated rate compared to normal planetary development." The silence was so complete I could hear my own heartbeat. All 3 of them. "So when we say humans come from a death world," Krell said, completely missing the mood in the room, "we mean that their entire evolutionary history involved surviving conditions that would kill most of us in hours. Their physical capabilities are not exceptional for their planet. They are baseline. They had to be that strong, that durable, that adaptable just to survive childhood. Marcus raised his hand. Every single person in that lecture hall flinched, including me, including Professor Krell, though he tried to hide it. "Yes, Marcus?" Krell said, his tentacles curling slightly. "I just wanted to clarify something," Marcus said, and his voice was casual, friendly even. "The fight with Zorgath. That was not normal for us either. I have been training in martial arts since I was 6 years old. Most humans cannot do that. I am not trying to scare anyone. I just thought you should know." There was this moment, this brief moment, where I thought maybe that would make everyone feel better. Maybe knowing that Marcus was specially trained would ease the tension. Then a Voxian student named Terex, who clearly had not been paying attention to context clues, asked the question, "Why would a child need combat training?" Marcus looked confused by the question, genuinely confused. "For self-defense and discipline and physical fitness? It is pretty common back home." "Common," Terex repeated slowly. "Child combat training is common." "Well, yeah," Marcus said. "I mean, not everyone does it, but millions of kids do. Karate, judo, boxing, wrestling, taekwondo. It is good for development. Builds confidence." "You train your children to fight," Professor Krell said, and for the first time since I had known him, he sounded uncertain. "As a cultural practice." "Sure," Marcus said, still looking confused about why this was surprising. "I mean, we also have competitive fighting sports, mixed martial arts, kickboxing, that sort of thing. Professional leagues. People pay to watch. It is entertainment." The lecture hall had gone from silent to somehow even more silent, if that was possible. It was the silence of people having their entire worldview restructured in real time. "You watch members of your species injure each other," Krell said slowly, "for enjoyment." Marcus was starting to realize he had said something wrong. His expression shifted. "Oh, right. I guess that does sound bad when you put it that way. But we have rules and safety equipment, usually, and medical staff on site. It is regulated." "Usually," someone whispered behind me. That was when Professor Krell did something I will always respect him for. He closed his datapad, looked directly at Marcus, and asked the real question, the one we were all thinking. "Marcus, what is the most dangerous animal on Earth?" Marcus did not even hesitate. "Humans, by a huge margin. We have weapons that can destroy entire ecosystems. We have driven hundreds of species to extinction. We have fought wars that killed millions of our own people. Nothing else on the planet comes close to how dangerous we are." The lecture hall was not silent anymore. People were making small noises, whimpers, clicks. One threnod actually started floating toward the exit. "But," Marcus added quickly, "we are also trying to get better. We have conservation programs now, international laws. We are working on it. Mostly." "Mostly." He said mostly. That lecture ended early. Professor Krell dismissed us 20 minutes ahead of schedule, and I am pretty sure I saw his tentacles shaking as we filed out. I went straight to the library. Not the regular library. The restricted archives section. The one where they keep the actually interesting information that they do not teach in introductory classes. It took me 40 minutes to get clearance, another 20 to navigate the catalog system, and then I was looking at the full Earth database. The real one. The one with details. I started reading. I could not stop reading. Earth has animals called polar bears that can smell prey from 20 miles away and have bite forces that exceed most industrial equipment. They live in frozen wastelands and hunt creatures the size of small vehicles. Earth has insects called bullet ants, whose sting is described as comparable to being shot. They are called bullet ants because being stung feels like being shot, and they are everywhere in certain regions. Earth has weather patterns called hurricanes that generate wind speeds over 200 miles per hour and can destroy entire cities, and humans just live in areas where these happen regularly. Earth has plants that can kill you if you touch them, rocks that are radioactive, water that is acidic enough to dissolve metal, and humans. Humans just live there. They build cities, they raise families, they have pets that are descended from apex predators. Their children play outside in environments that would require hazmat suits for most species. I was 3 hours into my research when someone sat down across from me at the study terminal. Marcus. I may have made a small screaming noise. I am not proud of it. Sorry, he said, holding up both hands in what I had learned was a human, peaceful gesture. Did not mean to scare you. I saw you leave class earlier and you looked upset. Just wanted to make sure you were okay. He was checking on me. The human was checking to make sure I was okay. After I had spent 3 hours reading about how his entire planet was a nightmare. I am fine, I said, which was absolutely a lie. Just doing research. Marcus glanced at my screen, saw what I was reading. His expression shifted, became something softer. Sadder, maybe. Yeah, he said quietly. I guess Earth sounds pretty scary when you list it all out like that. Sounds scary? I said, and my voice came out higher than intended. Marcus, your planet has volcanoes that erupt underwater. Your oceans have creatures the size of buildings. Your atmosphere generates enough electrical discharge during storms to power cities. How are you all not extinct? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. Not the scary smile from the fight. A different smile. A real one. Because we are stubborn, he said, and we adapt, and we take care of each other. Yeah, Earth is dangerous, really dangerous, but it is also beautiful, and it is home. You learn to respect it. You learn to work with it. And you learn that the scariest thing and the most wonderful thing can be the same thing. I stared at him. That is the most human thing I have ever heard. He laughed. Actually laughed. I will take that as a compliment. We sat there for a while, me trying to process everything I had learned. Him just sitting patiently, not pushing, not demanding anything, just being present. The fight with Zorgath, I finally said. You could have really hurt him. I did really hurt him, Marcus said, and now his voice was serious. And I feel terrible about it. I did not want to fight. But he was not going to stop, and I needed to make sure he could not hurt me. So I did what I was trained to do. I neutralized the threat, but that does not mean I am proud of it. You were holding back, I said. During the fight. You could have done worse. Marcus nodded. A lot worse. But I did not want to. I just wanted it to stop. And that right there, that was the thing. That was the piece I had been missing. Humans were not monsters. They were not mindless predators. They were people who had learned to be dangerous because their world demanded it. But they chose, every single day, to be more than just dangerous. They chose to be kind, to be gentle, to be careful with that power. I am sorry, I said, about how everyone has been treating you. The staring, the fear. It is not fair. Marcus shrugged. I get it. I am the new guy, and I am different. And after what happened, I am the scary new guy. People need time. It is okay. But it was not okay. And sitting there in the library, looking at this human who had traveled across the galaxy to study, who got homesick like anyone else, who liked coffee way too much and helped other students with their homework, and was genuinely trying to fit in, I realized something important. We were the ones who needed to adapt, not him. The next day, I did something that was either very brave or very stupid. I sat down next to Marcus in the common area, right next to him, in full view of everyone. The room went quiet. Again. Always with the quiet. Marcus looked at me, surprised. Hey, Krell, what is up? I wanted to ask you something, I said, loud enough for others to hear. You said you have been training in martial arts since you were 6. Could you teach a class? I think a lot of us would benefit from learning some self-defense, the proper way, from someone who actually knows what they are doing. Marcus blinked. You want me to teach a martial arts class? Yes, I said. If you want to. No pressure. But I think it would help. People are scared because they do not understand. Maybe if you showed them, explained it, let them try it safely, it would be different. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then that real smile came back. The good one. Yeah, he said. Yeah, I would like that. I would like that a lot. And that is how Marcus Webb, the human transfer student from Earth, became the most popular instructor at the Galactic Academy. His classes filled up in minutes. He taught us how to fall safely, how to break grips, how to use leverage instead of strength. He was patient, encouraging, and careful. So careful. Always making sure nobody got hurt. Zorgath eventually recovered. All his bones healed. The reconstructive surgery was successful. And the first thing he did when he got out of medical? He signed up for Marcus's class, apologized in front of everyone, asked to learn. Marcus taught him that is who humans are. They are dangerous, yes, terrifyingly dangerous, but they are also capable of incredible compassion, incredible mercy. They choose every single day to be better than their world demanded they become. And me? I learned that the scariest thing about humans is not their strength. It is their capacity to choose gentleness despite having that strength. That is what makes them truly exceptional. Also, I can now do a proper hip throw, which is awesome, terrifying, but awesome. Just do not ask me to spar with Marcus. I like my bones where they are, unbroken, in their current configuration. Trust me on this one.